everybody, my name is Mars. You can call me MG if you would like, and today I have for you the next installment of my magical readathon vlogs. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I will leave a link in the description to the magical readathon information. This is a readathon hosted by G over at Book Roast. It's real fun. I'm having a great time so far. I've finished 2 of the 4 vlogs planned. I will also link for you my TBR for the readathon that explains to you which books are going to be in which vlog of mine. So this is for the Spells and Incantations class, so I have 3 books to read for it, as I do for all of them. And the first book I will be reading is for the prompt of Dancing Stars, and that is a 5-star prediction. I don't rate my books out of 5 stars. I have a 10-point scale that I use, so I'm just going with a book that I think I will love, and that is An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. I have this insanely stunning cover, like, I'm genuinely obsessed with this. My boyfriend and I had some time to kill before an event a few weeks ago, so obviously we stopped at the bookstore, because what else are we gonna do? And he got a puzzle, and I got this book, and I'm very happy. I think it's so beautiful, and this is a book I've been meaning to read for literal ages. Like, when did this book come out? Oh, there's maps! I didn't know there were maps. I'm trying to find the copyright page. There's like also art, which is the same art that's on the spine. Oh, can I just please find the copyright page and not get distracted again? Come on. That's a list of books, that's praise from other writers. 2015, so this book is 9 years old, and I don't think I've known about it since it came out, but I've known about it for several years at this point, and I've been meaning to get to it, and I'm finally going to be doing that because of this beautiful copy that I just could not leave at the bookstore, and I'm hoping that I really do love it because A, I just hope that I love all the books I read, and B, then I can collect the rest of the series in this edition. There's like a little preview on the back of what they look like, and they're also amazing. So this is a YA fantasy, and there's like military stuff going on and political unrest. The main character ends up going to this military academy, and she has to team up with this guy who's the school's finest soldier and secretly its most unwilling, and I don't know. I don't know a ton of details, so I'm going to this mostly blind, and I'm happy about that. I don't want spoilers. It's kind of chunky. She's like 450 something pages? 446, I was close. Okay, so I don't think she'll be a fast read, but that's fine. I'm excited to just dive into this and hope that it sweeps me away. So I will be starting this later on today, and I will come back and update you once I get into it with my first impressions. Hello friends, it is about 4:30 p.m. on the 10th, and I've had a very busy, very hectic day, but between last night and then today, I have been able to do a little bit of reading, so I'm gonna update you on An Ember in the Ashes. I'm only 50 pages in, so not very far. Sorry, 53 pages in. But it's got a lot of pieces going, so I want to kind of come in and just set the scene before it gets even more complicated. So we have 2 POV characters here, and it alternates chapters. So the first one we meet is Laia. It's Laia, and I'm not entirely sure how it's pronounced. In my head, I'm kind of going back and forth between those 2 pronunciations, but she is a scholar. That's her, like, nationality, I guess, her heritage, because it's scholar with a capital S, and 500 years before the time of this series, the scholars were this thriving civilization that was taken over and basically destroyed by the Martials, Martial. They came in and have this huge empire. There's like other people like the mariners and the tribesmen are mentioned, but the scholars are the only ones that are really treated like second-class citizens. They aren't allowed to go to school or hold most jobs, and any like minor infraction is grounds for enslavement. So that's awful. She does not live an easy life. And when we meet her, we learn that she lives with her grandparents. Both of her parents have been killed, and also her brother, who is working with the resistance, and he ends up getting arrested. So her whole thing is that she wants to find the resistance and get them to free her brother. So that's what she's doing. And then we also have Elias, who is a marshal, but might also have some other heritage. He doesn't know who his dad is, but he is currently attending Blackcliff. I don't know what the like actual name is. Like University? Academy. Blackcliff Academy, which is the like military academy for the marshals, and he has been there for the past 14 years. He's now 20 years old, so he's been training since he was 6, and he's training to be a mask, which is like a specific order of soldier, and they have these silver masks that are like attached to their faces, and they're like this highly skilled group. But he secretly doesn't want to do this anymore. He is making plans to desert right after graduation, which is happening very soon. But his mother is actually the commandant of the school. She's the head, I guess. And he just has to play the part of this like super gung-ho soldier, I love the Empire, but he secretly hates everything that the Empire stands for, and so his plan is to run off. But it's kind of a hard thing to do. We witness a 10-year-old student be whipped to death because he tried to run off. So very strict rules here. Yeah, we've just gotten their like initial introductions, I guess, to what's going on, their goals, and the issues that they have with achieving those goals, and I'm enjoying this. I'm not absolutely loving it yet. This is written in present tense, which is not my favorite. I do prefer past tense, but I mean, there's been books that are in present tense that I love, like Iron Widow is present tense, and I really enjoyed that book, but it's just a little bit jarring every now and then to read a sentence in present tense. It's just not my favorite. There's also the issue of Leia, whatever her name is, feeling so young. We are like explicitly told that she's a 17-year-old, but if I hadn't been told that in the story, I probably would assume she's like 14, maybe 15. Like, she just reads like a young teenager to me, and that feels weird. I'm not sure if we're going to get a romance between Leia and Elias, or if that's just how much fantasy that I've read. I'm kind of just expecting that. But if that happens, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about that, because she's 17 and he's 20, which is a weird gap in real life, but in a fantasy, different society and setting and everything, like it's more excusable. But the fact that she reads even younger than that feels strange to me. So maybe it's just this beginning part, and as we really delve into the story, she'll read more like an older teen, but I don't know. I will keep reading and tell you how things get on, because like I said, I'm not loving this yet, but I am still super intrigued to see where things go. So I'm going to get back on this and let you know when I've made further progress in the story. 4:05 p.m. on the 11th, and I'm here with my midpoint update of An Ember in the Ashes. You can see I've just surpassed the midpoint, so that's exciting. I have had a very stressful few days, and then this morning I was so frustrated working on book publishing stuff that was just not going right, and I still haven't finished it and like completely fixed what was wrong, but it was several hours and I'm like, I cannot be doing this anymore. So I'm like, I'm taking the rest of the day off. This whole afternoon I'm gonna get cozy in bed and read, and that is what I did. So that's how I've gotten this far. But yes, I have an update. I'm still feeling like I'm enjoying it, but I'm not absolutely head over heels in love with it. It is very good though, so it's like, as of right now, teetering at about an 8 or a 9 out of 10. It just doesn't have that spark that would make it a 10 out of 10, you know? So I'm still very much enjoying it. There's just a few, like, details in here that I'm like, I wish they would have gone a different way, if that makes sense. I don't want to spoil anything. I'm just not totally obsessed with every single thing that's happening in this book. So what we have is some trials and like a prophecy going on where this current emperor of the Martial Empire, he is going to not have an heir, and so the augurs, who are like these supposedly immortal religious beings, are like coming into town, and they've chosen 4 people from the military academy to undergo these trials, and whoever wins is going to be the next emperor. Whoever comes in second is going to be the Blood Shrike, which is basically the emperor's right-hand man, and then the other 2 will die. So the 4 people taking part are, of course, one of our main characters, Elias, these twins, Marcus and Zach, and Marcus is just like your run-of-the-mill, bloodthirsty, uber-violent man, and Zach is kind of the same, but he's also like just his brother's shadow, and he's kind of slipping away from his brother's influence, but he also had a line where he's like, I've never known anything without him. So like, that's a really cool dynamic that I like. And then the 4th person is Helene, who is Elias's best friend, and I don't know if I mentioned this, but Helene is like special because she's the only woman at Blackcliff Academy. For some reason they say, and like the character straight up says, like, no one knows the reason why, but 1 woman in every generation is allowed at Blackcliff Academy, but then everyone else is a man. That's weird. I don't get it. I hope we get an answer as to why, but like, it's just bizarre to me. So all that's going on, and then we have Leia, whatever, who is undercover for the rebellion, the Scholars' Rebellion. She is the personal slave to the commandant, who is Elias's mom, but they don't get along. They actually hate each other a lot, and she is trying to get information to the rebellion so that they would then break into the prison where her brother is being held and free him. Except she has recently learned that her brother was not working for the rebellion like she thought he was. He's part of this like separate faction that's not even really a faction. It was just him and this other guy who doesn't work for the Empire. I mean, he kind of does, but he's like doing his own thing, and Darren, the brother, was working with him, and he just lied about being part of the rebellion so that this other guy wouldn't get in trouble. So she's met him, and they've kind of got this thing going where she doesn't know to trust him or not. Very interesting things. There's a lot of moving pieces that I am very intrigued by and cannot wait to see what's going on with that. There's also a like supernatural element that I didn't expect. So there's like jinn and ifrits and ghouls and other things that Elias grew up hearing stories about because he wasn't raised as part of the Martial Empire. He was raised by the tribesmen, which I don't really know much about, but he was raised by them until he was 6, and then he was brought to the academy, so he's heard all of their like stories and things, and these beings are now revealed to be real. Like, they fight some ghouls, and they fight wraiths, and they fight an ifrit. Laia comes into contact with some ghouls. They're like haunting her with her brother's voice and face. It's really creepy. I really like the scenes with them. And then um, there's also the Nightwalker is this like supernatural being from all these stories, and he's like being tied up into things. So I'm so interested in how that all plays out. I'm definitely gonna read more today. I'm gonna go make some dinner because, like I said, it's about 5 p.m. And then maybe like do some other chill stuff for a while, but I will be picking this up and reading more before bed. I genuinely feel like I want to finish this tomorrow because I really want to know what happens, and I can do whatever I want. And most of the time, what I want to do is read. So I'm going to put this down for now, but pick it up later and come back to you at some point with an update. Maybe at the end of the book, maybe before I get to the end of the book, if something insane happens that I need to come and talk to you guys about. But at the very least, I will see you when I finish this book. So, see you then, I guess. Good morning, friends. It is about 10 o'clock on the 12th, and I'm going to try not to ramble because it genuinely hurts so much to talk right now. I bit the inside of my lip yesterday while eating dinner, and it is very swollen and sore, and I'm just not having a good time right now. But I am here to update you because I have finished An Ember in the Ashes. I still don't think it's like an ultimate favorite, but I did really, really enjoy this. I'm somewhere between an 8 and a 9 out of 10, so like very high praise. But there were just a few things that I'm like, did not like that. The number one thing that I would get rid of if I were to make this my perfect book is the romance. Like, maybe the romance elements between Helene and Elias can stay, that was fine. But everything else, like, it was so unnecessary, and I just didn't like it at all. Like, Laia and Elias have this thing going on. There's also this guy Keenan that I don't think I mentioned, but he's with the Resistance, and there's something between Laia and him, and I just cut all of that. Cut all of it. I didn't care about it at all. Also, I kind of wish that Laia actually was 15. I said in an earlier update that she reads a little bit younger than she actually is, and if I hadn't been told that she was 17, I don't think I would have envisioned her at 17, even like having that in my head. I just picture her as a younger teen, and I feel like that could have had like this element to it of her being so young, but then obviously the romance would be weird, but in my perfect book, we're cutting that anyway. I think that Elias and Keenan too maybe could have more of an older brother type of relationship with her. Honestly, Keenan felt very underdeveloped and just kind of thrown in there for the sake of things. Maybe he'll become a larger player in the plot in future books, but he just kind of just showed up a couple of times and I didn't care for him. But like Elias could be an older brother figure for Laia instead of a romance character, because her whole thing is that she's doing all of this to save her brother, and she could like start relying on Elias for this kind of brotherly connection and then feel bad about it because she's like, my own brother is rotting in jail somewhere. I just think that would have been a very interesting dynamic to see played out. What else? I had other things to say. Oh, the like twists and surprises weren't really that all surprising in this last little section. There were some things that I saw coming from a mile away, characters that betray other characters, and I'm like, well, yeah, that's been foreshadowed for the past 300 pages, and like, I understand why the characters didn't come to the conclusions that they did earlier in the book, like for plot reasons, but it kind of just makes them look stupid. So overall, had a great time, but definitely had issues with this. I for sure will be continuing on with the series because there's enough intrigue that I really want to know what happens. So I guess the next time I'm in a bookstore, I'm gonna pick up the next one because I have to get the beautiful cover for it. I did have to do a little bit of surgery on this book. I don't know if you can see down here, this corner, it was like folded up, and when I folded it out, the paper hadn't been cut properly, so it stuck out, and I had to snip that a little bit. So a little bit damaged, but that doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. This is now gonna have a nice place on my shelf. I'm gonna see if I can finagle things to have it facing out, because it's just so pretty. But also it's a paperback, and I don't know, usually if you like face out paperbacks and it doesn't have the support of the books on either side, the covers start to curl, so I don't know if I want that. But like, this is just so gorgeous, I want to show it off. That's for me to contemplate later. For now, I have to tell you about the next book I'll be reading, which is for the spell memory clip, and the prompt is to read any book that's ever been featured in one of G's videos. So, I was very strategic about this. I know that G has talked about Brandon Sanderson quite a bit on her channel. She's read a bunch of his books. So what I did is I went to her channel, and in the search bar I typed Brandon Sanderson, hoping for one specific book to come up, because there's only one Brandon Sanderson that I own and have not read. And the first book that I clicked on, no, not book, first video that I clicked on was Top 10 Favorite Books Boyfriend Edition from like 4 years ago. And basically, I guess G was sick that day and couldn't film, so her boyfriend was doing his top 10 favorite books, and G was like off camera commenting a little bit. And he mentions a bunch of Brandon Sanderson books, but one of the ones that he mentions is The Alloy of Law. So I'm finally going to be reading this. This is book 1 in the Wax and Wane series, which is Mistborn Era 2. The original Mistborn trilogy is the only Brandon Sanderson works that I've ever read, and that was almost 2 years ago. So it's about time I get back, because I did really, really enjoy those. But this is fantasy, but it also, I think, has steampunk and Western vibes. I don't really know too much about it. Apparently it's 300 years since the original Mistborn trilogy. Very interesting. The main character is Waxilium Ladrian, which is a stupid name, and I think it's hilarious. So I guess he's Wax, and then the other guy is Wayne. So that's pretty fun. I know that there's an autistic character at some point in this series, which I'm looking forward to, but we're gonna give this one a shot. It is, if I can get past the references in the back, only 383 pages, so I don't think it would take me that long. It is tiny font, small margins, because it is a mass market paperback, but I don't know. I'm looking forward to this. I'm gonna pick it up later on today and give you updates when I have updates, so I'm very excited. Hello friends, it is 10 p.m. on Friday the 13th, how spooky. I am here to give you my midpoint update on Alloy of Law, because as you can see, I'm halfway done with this book, and I'm loving it. It is so good. It's very Western and very fantasy, which are two things I'm loving lately, so it's just really hitting exactly what I needed it to hit. If you don't know anything about Mistborn, I should probably explain some stuff so that I can then give you my thoughts on what's happening, because this is the sequel series to the Mistborn trilogy. This takes place 300 years later. So in Mistborn, there are technically 3 types of magic, but we're only going to talk about 2 of them, because there are only 2 that are important right now to this story, but they revolve around metals. So you have allomancy, which involves ingesting and burning metals to do different things, and people who have this kind of magic can typically only burn one type of metal. There are people who can burn all the types of metals, and those are Mistborn. The mist has something to do with the magic. I'm not totally clear on that, but that's why they're called Mistborn. But the other type of magic that we have is Feruchemy? Is that what that's called? Let me find the little thing in the back of the book. Yeah, feruchemical powers, where they will have like bands of metal in their arms, like wrapped around them, but like piercing them, and you can store different things in them and like kind of weird things. So our two main characters, because this is the Wax and Wayne series, so we have Wax, which is short for Waxilium, which is hilarious, and then Wayne. I'm not sure if it's his first or his last name, but they are the two title characters, and they are both twin-borns, is what they're called, which means they have both an elementic power and a feruchemical power. So Wax, who is this 40-ish-year-old man, he can push on metals. He can like sense them, and if he's heavier than the metal he's pushing against, then if he's heavier, then the metal thing moves away from him. If he's lighter than the metal thing that he's pushing against, he's the thing that moves away. But his feruchemical power is that he can store his weight. So that like really plays into his elementic power. It's really cool. So like he typically goes around at 3/4 of his normal weight, just because it's easier to do things. And then he has that weight stored up in his armband, so if he needs to be heavy, like he did in this last chapter that I read, he needed to bust through a floor, he can become super duper heavy to do that. So that's really cool. Wayne can, for his elementic power, like create a little bubble of time where it's like extra time, so it looks like everything is going really slowly outside the bubble just because it's normal speed in the bubble. So that's really fun. And his feruchemical power is that he can store health, so he can like make himself ill for a period of time and store good health in his armbands, and then when he needs to, he can use that health to heal himself from injury or illness. And these two men were law keepers in the Roughs, which is like the Wild West basically. But then Wax's uncle and sister die in this accident, and he ends up going back to the city to become the head of this household. It's like a noble house. And he's also dealing with the trauma of he had been facing down a serial killer, and the serial killer tricked him into shooting his own girlfriend and killing her. So, a little bit of a spoiler there, but that's literally the prologue of this book, so it's not that much of a serial killer. That much of a spoiler. Wow. So now he has this house to take care of, but he has kind of high standing in society despite his uncle's like issues. It's not like as high of a standing as his house used to have, but still pretty high standing, but no money. So he is in this agreement with this noblewoman, Steris, to marry her because her noble house has a lot of money, but they're relatively unknown in social society, so they would both benefit from this. And Steris is actually an autistic character, and I love her so much. She's confirmed autistic by Brandon Sanderson, and he has specifically gone on record to say that he wrote her because he felt like he didn't do a good enough job representing neurodiversity in his other works and wanted to do better by that. So that's really cool. And then besides Steris, an important character is also her cousin, but spoiler alert, they're actually sisters. Her cousin, who's really her sister, is Marasi. She is a bastard child. They have the same dad, different moms, and she is going to university to study like criminology and law and stuff, and she's kind of like a fangirl about Wax and Wayne because of their heroic deeds in the Roughs. and she's really cool. I like her a lot. There's like some chemistry between her and Wax, so I'm interested to see where that goes, especially considering he's supposed to eventually marry Steris. But anyway, the main like plot of this is that there are these weird robberies happening, and they're also taking hostages, and Marasi and Wax figure out that these hostages are all women who, well, they are not allomancers themselves, come from family lines with a strong allomantic power. So they think that these people, whoever they are trying to breed allomancers. So we've gotten quite a bit of that. There's been some really epic fight scenes that I enjoy so much. I love the magic being used, and just like the vibes are so on point with this. I forgot how much I loved Brandon Sanderson's writing style. Even just like the opening paragraph is so good. Like it's Wax sneaking around and stuff, and he has a gun in his hand. It says the revolver was nothing fancy to look at, blah blah blah. Description: there was no gleam to the metal or exotic material on the grip, but it fit his hand like it was meant to be there. Just so delicious. I love that so much. So that is where I am at with this. I'm so excited to keep reading, so I am going to do that. I don't know how far I'm gonna get tonight because I'm probably not gonna stay up too much later. But then again, it's Friday. Not that I have to do stuff in the morning, but like my boyfriend has a regular job, so during the week he has to get up in the morning, so I don't like to stay up late. But I could tonight if I wanted to, is what I'm getting at. So I'm gonna read for an indeterminate amount of time, and then this weekend I'm actually very busy. I've got so much going on, so I don't know. I'm going to try to make time for reading, but we'll just see how it goes. I will catch you probably when I finish this book, if I'm being honest, because I'm not going to want to stop reading to update you, even if really cool things are happening. So I'll see you then. So about 24 hours ago, I filmed that clip where I said I had a very busy weekend and I didn't know how much reading I was going to get done. Turns out I did a lot of reading today, so I did still have my very busy day. I had to leave the place 3 times over the course of today in order to get a bunch of stuff done, but for all the time that I was at home, I was reading, and so I finished The Alloy of Law. When I tell you this book was everything I needed, which I feel like I use that phrase a lot, but like I really do mean it. Like I went into this expecting an action-packed story, a fantasy, and something with steampunk western elements. And this delivered so well on all 3 fronts. It was so good. I love the characters, I love the plot. Brandon Sanderson is such a good writer, like just his writing style is so easy to fall into and really feel immersed, at least in my opinion. Not everyone has to feel the same way, but I just really love his writing style. The epilogue introduced some things that I was not expecting. I just had a really good time with this, you guys. I'm so happy that I read this, and I really want to continue on with the series, but I don't own the rest, so I gotta hit up some thrift stores to see if I can find them, because that's how I found this, and the original Mistborn trilogy was at a thrift store. So that's on my to-do list for the hopefully coming days. I don't know when I'll be able to get out to a thrift store, or if they'll even have any of the books that I want, but one can hope, one can try and manifest. So that is this book done, which means it's time for the 3rd book for this vlog, and that is for the Incantation of Carbon Copy. So the prompt is to steal a book from someone else's TBR, and I have an ebook, so I'll put the cover up here, and that is Quicksilver by Callie Hart. And I've stolen this from several people's TBR because this is the book club pick for the Bujo Buddies book club, hosted by Jess from the channel Jashi Corinne and her friends Rachel and Monica. The 3 of them do different themes each month, and this month the options were between 2 fantasy romance books, and this is the one that won, and I'm not super excited for it. I've heard that people I know who have similar reading tastes to me have not enjoyed this, so I'm going into it with an open mind. I'm still giving it a shot, but if I end up not liking it, I will be DNFing it, and I already have a book on backup in case I do DNF it. I know I could spend my guild points in order to count a DNF as completing a prompt, but since I already have another book I could fit for this prompt, I'll just do that instead, and you would get, I guess, a bonus book for this vlog if that happens. I'm hoping that I love this book because I go into every book I read hoping that I'm gonna love it. So I will start that probably tonight. Actually, it's kind of late. I'll probably start it tomorrow, but I do have another very busy day. I've got D&D in the morning. Well, actually, first I have to go and feed my friend's cat and then come back and play D&D, and then I have a friend whose birthday celebration is in the afternoon. We're going to one of those like paint and sip pottery things, so I'm gonna be painting, I don't know, a mug? Maybe? Who knows? Um, so that's several hours of my day blocked off, but I will be able to fit a little bit of reading in, so I'll get to that and give you updates when appropriate. I'm gonna go to bed now actually, because sitting here talking, the tired has really hit me, so I'm gonna go to sleep and I will see you at some point in the future. Well, we're here. Good morning, friends. It is about 9 a.m. on the 16th. It really does feel like a Monday, but I am here to let you know that I'm DNFing Quicksilver. I can't do it. I normally try to give a book to 20% before I decide if I DNF it or not. That's not happening here. I got like 7% in, I think, by the math. I read the first 3 chapters. I read 2 last night and I was like, wow, I don't like this at all. But I'm like, maybe I'm just tired. I've had a really long weekend. We'll pick it up tomorrow morning, give it another chapter, see how that goes. I can't be bothered. I don't like any of the characters. I don't even know the main character's name. They've definitely said it in the first 3 chapters, and I just didn't care enough to remember, but I don't like her or anybody else. The world building, there's a lot going on, and I just don't care about it. The writing is so not my style. I found myself rereading sentences 2 or 3 times because they just were not making sense at all. There were also so many typos, which, like, I understand. I'm an editor myself. I get that people are not going to find every single error in a book, and whether it's self-published or traditionally published, there's going to be mistakes. But there were like 5 or 6 spelling errors in each chapter, and that is just way too much. I can't continue on with this. I don't care. And at this point in my life, even if it's for a book club and like discussion purposes and everything, I'm not going to force myself to read a book that I don't care about, especially one that's almost 700 pages long. So, Quicksilver, we are saying goodbye to. That means I have to fill this prompt with another book. That's what I was trying to say. And I'm going with a different book club book because it's easy, and it's the same reason why it fits the steal from someone's TBR prompt, because it's for the book club. A lot of people are going to be reading it. This is for the Nostalgia Train book club, which is run by my dear friend Violet, and I am co-hosting it with her this month, and we are reading The Fairy Tale Detectives by Michael Buckley? Is that the name? I'm putting the cover on the screen for you so you'll see if I'm right or wrong. I didn't think to look it up this morning, but I'm pretty sure it's Michael Buckley. This is the first book in the Sisters Grimm series, which I read at least a few books. I don't know if I ever finished it, but I definitely read several of the books in the series years ago when I was in like middle school, and I remember really enjoying them, so I'm glad to be returning to this. But it follows 2 sisters, I think Sabrina and Daphne are their names, and their parents go missing, so they go to move in with their grandma or aunt, one of those options, and they find out that they are descended from the Brothers Grimm and have to kind of look after these fairy tale beings who are called ever afters, potentially. I think that's the phrase they use. Again, I didn't look into this after we decided this was going to be the book for the month. I'm going completely off of my very old memories of this book series. So yeah, I'm very excited to return to this series and give it another go and see how I think of it as an adult. I think it's only like 200 pages, this first book, so not long at all. And I'm probably just gonna update you at the end of it all because this vlog is going so long already, and I just can't be bothered to keep filming for it because I know I'm gonna hate editing it. Whew. I looked at like the length of the clips that I had for the first two books, and I saw that I had so many clips that were so long. So we're kind of cutting things short a little bit here, but that's fine because it's going to be a short book. I'm still going to give you all of my thoughts on it. It just, they're going to all be at the end. So I am going to get going on that, and I will see you at some point in the future. Who knows when, hopefully soon, because I would like to get this vlog wrapped up and edited soon because I have so much other stuff going on, guys. You have no idea how busy things are for me right now. It's insane, but we're gonna keep going. I will be back at some point. Good morning, friends. It is Tuesday the 17th, and I have finished reading The Fairy Tale Detectives. I read about 60% of it last night before bed, then the rest of it this morning. It was so fun, so cute. I feel like the foreshadowing of like what the twists were gonna be was very heavy-handed, but then again, I am in my mid-20s, and I'm not a 12-year-old, which is like the target audience, so I definitely picked up on more than a 12-year-old probably would. But it was really cute. It was fun. Not sure if I'm going to continue on with the series. I might, like, if the opportunity arises, but I don't think I'm going to go out of my way to continue with it. But I would like to see how things play out. I don't remember how far into it I got as a kid, but I think it'd be interesting to return to it and finally finish things up because I'm pretty sure I didn't read the whole series. There's like 9 or 10 books. But yeah, that was a really fun time, and I'm excited to see what everyone else in the Nostalgia Train book club thinks of it as well. I hope that they enjoyed as much as I did. But that is the last book for this vlog. Give me a moment. I will go get the physical copies of the 2 books that I read physically. I didn't think to grab them before, but I will hold them up for you now during this recap. Okay, so first up we had An Ember in the Ashes, which I really enjoyed. Didn't give it a full 10 out of 10. There were some things where I was like, not a big fan of the direction that it went in, but overall I did enjoy this, and I will be continuing on with the series, so that is a great start. Then I read The Alloy of Law, which I loved. 10 out of 10, no complaints, so good. Obviously I'm going to be continuing on with this series. Started a lot of series in this vlog. I just realized that all the books that I picked up were first books in series, so whoops. Didn't mean to do that, but this was definitely the highlight of the vlog. I loved this so much. Then we had Quicksilver, which I DNF'd because it just was not for me in any way, shape, or form. I can see how people who are into this niche of romantasy would like this book, but I'm not one of those people, and I was not into this book at all. And then we had The Fairy Tale Detectives, which was a cute, quick reread. That's the thing about it, it was so quick, and I appreciate that. I did wish the chapters were shorter and like more broken up. There were 10 longer chapters. I myself am a fan of short chapters, but either way, it was a quick read and it was fun. So overall, even though we had a DNF, this was definitely a net positive for this reading vlog, and I'm glad about that. So I will end things here now, and then I guess get started on the 4th and final Magical Readathon vlog. Only one more to go. This month has been absolutely flying by. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this vlog, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel for more content, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, everyone.